What's up? I'm Ronin the Collector. I work for Gig Labs. I have been in the space for about a little over 2 years now.
So you have Gig Labs doing partnerships there. Tell us about background in the space the last couple of years.
So my introduction to the space was actually GPK on the Wax blockchain. So that was my introduction. It launched 2 years ago in May. And when I found it, dude, it just clicked. Like I had no idea what the blockchain was, but obviously I wanted to do a little research. I had been collecting in the Tops apps, which were just like games, for about 5 years prior. So digital collecting made sense to me, right? So I heard about GPK. I do the research on GPK and what the blockchain is, and realize that this is like true, real ownership over digital items. And for me, that makes a ton of sense. I'm a gamer and I've been playing these games where you're literally collecting these digital cards, and I was selling those cards and you don't actually own them. Like you can get banned, like those cards can be taken away from you for a bunch of different reasons. So this made a lot of sense. And I could see this like literally changing the world, right? Like I could see a future where your license, like your identity was ownable on your phone.
You know, you're a gamer, you're an NFT collector. I'm just curious on your thoughts of the blend of NFTs and gaming. And there's obviously this thing going on in the traditional gaming world where a lot of traditional gamers are sort of resistant to the incoming crypto version of gaming. So what are your thoughts there? Where do you sit with crypto and gaming and the blend of the two?
This should be a really good conversation because I think I have a little bit of a different take on it than most. I think that my idea of like where the intersection is for crypto and gaming is very simple. I think when it comes to like adoption, being in you know what I do for my day job which is helping these brands figure out their strategy to market, right? How do they implement Web3 into their business in a really, authentic way? That's the key to like really like adopting. Right. So you have to keep the barrier of entry as low as possible. So for me, I think like the adoption and the way that we see most success, I think in this space is going to be more like the Blankos, which is more like play and earn, or play and own, I think is what they termed, right? I don't think earn is it. I don't see it being sustainable long-term for a game to be like an earning mechanic. And so for me, I really think like we're going to see games where the layer of crypto is simple. It's just owning your assets. It's Fortnite where you own your skin, right? Like I've got a Fortnite. I played Fortnite in beta. I played Fortnite when Fortnite was a multiplayer, zombie game before they even implemented started testing this battle royale mode. So if I could go back and I could take some of those skins, I don't know, they're probably only a couple thousand people own, if that many for some of them. Then what is that worth for a game that's gone from, a couple thousand people playing in beta to the biggest game in the world, right? So for me, I think like where we really see a lot of success and a lot of adoption is going to be like that very simple mechanic of owning. Like Blankos, I think has it right. You play the game, you earn like the in-game currency, you can earn some items that are NFTs that you can sell if you want in the marketplace. But they're kind of their bag is you buying these figures and they come boxed, and then you have the choice of keeping them boxed or unboxing them. And then if you unbox them, now you can play with them in the game, right? And I think that there's a lot of value in an ecosystem like that can be long term. Right? Like I feel like most of my Blankos, unlike most of my NFTs, are still, 4, 5, 6, 8x what I spent on them. And I think that's because the ecosystem has done a really good job of like really, supply demand. They kept things really low at the beginning. They've kind of increased them, but not anything crazy. And they're not having like these limited drops that are 5,000, right? Like their limited drops are still very much 500, 1,000, 1,200. And I think that makes sense, and that helps to keep it a sustainable like economy.
Yeah, you're part of Bored Ape Yacht Club. You're probably inside the other side and all the Metaverse stuff there. I'm kind of curious if you have thoughts on how ownership crosses over to Metaverse and kind of like the future play of how NFTs will play in that whole thing.
Yeah, I think that's what's like super exciting, right? Like a lot of people are like, especially gamers, right? They're like, the concept of owning like a sword in WoW and taking it to Call of Duty is so ridiculous. Nobody's going to code for that. Nobody's going to do anything. It's like, yeah, you're right. Like it's probably not like the best use case. However, owning an ape and taking it to Fortnite, Call of Duty, WoW makes sense, right? Because now I can be rewarded for that ownership across all of those ecosystems. And it doesn't really take much on the developer side, right? To like code in like a special skin or something for me. However, it does open up a new community that they didn't have access to before. So I definitely think that's kind of like along the lines of what we'll see more of that. And then when it comes to the metaverse, I think that's where you see like the biggest implementation of that, right? Like that's where you see me taking my ape into the other side and then into Sandbox and then into Decentraland and having that ape translate to all of those worlds seamlessly, and then give me the ability to then, flex, that NFT ownership in whatever way is necessary. Maybe it's perks on games. Maybe you get special perks when you're at the ape house and other side, or whatever. I think that's where we see kind of like the early integration, and then I'm really looking forward to stuff like, just again, like the rewards and the brand partnerships that can pop up when you own an NFT, right? Like imagine like now you've got this Fortnite NFT and it was a special run with Adidas or whatever, and then a year after you bought it, they're like, hey, anybody who owns this in 12 hours when you take a snapshot is going to get the physical version in the mail, right? Like people haven't really seen these use cases because one, brands are a little scared to implement these types of things without knowing exactly what the ROI is. But two, we just haven't had enough time, right? Like somebody hasn't been able to tell the story of collecting an NFT 5 years ago that now gets reenacted today, that gets them special perks and something really dope and, whatever, right? I think time is part of the equation that's going to help, with all of this. So I did take part in the first other side test, which was really, really cool. As a gamer, you instantly understand the technical accomplishments that they have made, and I was watching, the counter go up while I was in there. To have 2,500 people in, one virtual space is an accomplishment. And then to have them all doing things like jumping and moving and emoting is a step above. And then to have every single one of them activate their voice comms and for that to work in proximity across the entire level, all 2,500 people, and not like instantly cause any type of it didn't so much as hiccup, right? Like technologically, what the other side is doing, I think is really, really cool. Do I think it's the one metaverse to rule them all? No, I think we're very, very far from the oasis, if you will. But I do think that it can be a lead contender in what comes next, depending on what the plans are, man. Metaverses aren't things that haven't existed or haven't been successful before. I don't know if you guys know, or have partaken in Second Life, right? Like Second Life launched in, I think, 2004, 2002, something like that. Maybe even 2000. We're talking about a 20-year-old like metaverse, and that it has a full-blown economy. If you bought land, you had to pay rent fees every month. All of the assets in the entire game are all user created. If you want to go and buy a new outfit for your avatar, you go to a mall and there's stores and there's different designers who literally for probably the better part of 10 or 15 years have made a living selling virtual goods. And people don't even realize that's happened. I think we'll continue to see the iteration of that, and there'll be lots of other side stories that are successful and that people do get to be a part of. And specifically, I just think that what I'm most excited for is to see how they allow the world to be owned, like once it kind of like launches, right? Are we going to be able to Second Life it up, Valheim it up, if you will, and go in and throw up walls and with a really easy user interface, right? Like some people think like, when they see Decentraland and they see that you can buy land and you can build a home and all this stuff, that like you literally just go buy a house and then you can use like these really easy tools, and they don't realize that like, no, you need like you almost need a developer to be able to build in Decentraland, right? So tools to make it easy are really important. So if other side is doing something along those lines, then my excitement level is tripled.
And it looks like it's interoperable, like it's going to have all sorts of stuff. I don't know enough about the other side yet, but yeah, it looks,
none of us do, man. we all want more info. We all need the alpha.
At Gig Labs, you're talking to partners and probably building all sorts of funky projects that we don't know about yet. Is there some alpha you can share? And we'd be all ears, my friend.
Yeah. When it comes to what comes next 12 to 24 months, brands are going to enter the space, man. And brands are entering the space in really different, unique ways that I think are going to surprise some people. Everyone has an assumption and this conception of what NFTs are and what they mean and where they live, right? Like they're all on Ethereum and they all have to be something that you mint that eventually becomes worth more than what you paid for it, right? Like there's all these things that we have in our mind about what are NFTs, and that's not the case, man. NFTs are the technology backing all these other things that we're doing with them. We're speculating right now, but like brands are going to now start putting this technology to action, and they're going to start using it in different innovative ways. When you see, and I have no idea, but like they announced just a month ago, Starbucks is like, yo, we're getting into NFTs. Like when they come out with like NFTs, it's not going to be what Adidas did. It's not going to be you're going to get some special Starbucks drinks sent to you once a month or anything like that. They're going to implement them in a way that they're going to try to get as many people to have NFTs in their wallet as possible, because then they're going to want to have that ability to then to have that touch point to those customers from that point forward, right? Like they're starting to realize that this is more like for brands and stuff, it's more marketing, it's more customer retention, more customer acquisition than it is money.
Bam. Mic drop. It's kind of like about community, right? It's like access.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
access.
And I think like the big thing there, and it's why like I know like people look at what my day job is and they're like, oh man, I don't want to do that, right? Like I want to help change the world. I want people, I want to be, I want decentralization. I don't want to be working with, CNN and universities and newspapers and things like that. But for me, it's like, well, these are all people who are going to come to the space regardless. Like, why don't we get some people on the inside and teach them how to do it the right way, right? Like, I think that there's a world where, CNN NFTs make perfect sense, right? Check it out. Like they're one of our partners and they've done some pretty innovative stuff. And same goes for like a lot of other brands that people would not traditionally think fit or make sense for the space. They're going to use the tech, right? Like they're not going to come in and they're not going to do auctions. They're not going to try to pump your bags. They're not going to try to earn you a bunch of money, but they are going to interact with you through NFTs in some cool and unique ways. If you're interested and you guys enjoy the content and the interview and the chat that we had, check me out on Twitter. I do, I tweet, I do content every week, NFT live. My Twitter is at Ronin, RONINDACC. That stands for Ronin the Collector. If you want to type that into Google, I've got interviews out there. There's articles. I've done a lot of chats like this that I think are really excellent. I just did one recently with another podcast where it was all in VR, which was really cool, and talked a little bit more about the early days of Wax and getting into NFTs and what that was like. Outside of that, if you're already a follower, thank you so much. You guys know I appreciate every single one of you. It means the world to me that you follow my content and you appreciate it. And if you're not, then hopefully you choose to follow on one of those channels and you get some value out of that content. And if you do, say hello.